Welcome to the Dell TIA Now studio here at Mobile World Congress 2016, where industry stakeholders from across the value chain delve into the transformational changes taking place in the telecommunications industry. I'm Limor Schaffman, Director of Content Development for TIA and TIA Now. Joining me today is Paul Strusaker, CTO and VP of Technology Strategy at Dell. Paul, thank you so much for joining us.
Well, thank you for hosting us.
Absolutely. So, question for you. We're here at the Dell booth. Dell's had a presence here at Mobile World Congress for quite a while, but what makes this year so specifically important for you guys?
I think one of the great things that's going on this year is you're finally seeing IoT really take the limelight here, because the Mobile World Congress has gone from what used to be just a simple 20,000 person cellular meeting to a giant meeting about networking and connectivity, probably the biggest meeting of all the vendors that you can have. And this year, it just seems like IoT is on the lips of everybody, and of course, we've just put out our new Gateway series, the Gateway 5000, and so it makes a great place for us to do that product introduction. But beyond that, I also see tons of work on workforce mobility and the things that go along with that. So it's very interesting, along with virtualization as a general network issue that everyone's addressing. Just a lot of really neat innovation coming on.
So it sounds like things have moved even beyond mobility towards really the applications of that mobility towards some end. It sounds like that's more the emphasis of this year's show.
Yeah, in fact, I would say you can be connected at a high data rate or a low data rate anywhere in the world, anytime you want. And that really is part of what's going on here at Mobile World Congress this year.
So it's more like, now what do we want to do? We've got it. We have the technology. Now what?
Now put it to work. Exactly. And
okay.
how do you monetize it all? And actually, what things can you do now that you couldn't do, and what things can you do to improve the efficiency and therefore the profitability of the work that you're doing? And so there's a lot more practical use of the technology. It's definitely getting a lot more mature, right?
So I think what I found so fascinating looking at your bio is you have this really great combination of working for Comcast, Cablevision, we were just talking about Motorola, AMD, and also sort of wrapping it within a wrapper of M&A. So you have the technology as well as the business side. So from your perspective, in terms of the trends that you see going forward, and thinking as an investor, let's say, what do you think are some of the trends that you're seeing here, or in general that you're observing in the ICT as well as the telecom space, that you think we should all be aware of?
Well, it's no secret that in the last year, a ton of M&A has gone on, and it's really around consolidation. A number of businesses have gotten mature, and it's really a shakeout of some of the smaller players, and it's also an aggregation. It's sort of like, hey look, to be a significant player, let's say in silicon and semiconductors, or in certain network elements, I need to aggregate these pieces together, because more and more, as we talk to customers, they want everything integrated, and they want a turnkey solution. We see more of that. It used to be people wanted to do all their own integration, but we've talked about a little bit about technology maturity, just as we opened up. In the same way, now that things are mature, people are not having to experiment so much to get the answers that they need. Very good integrated solutions exist, and so if you want to be a player, you've got to have an integrated solution, and I think that's driving a lot of the M&A.
And I think one of the things that I've seen from what you're doing here on the show floor here at Dell, as well as things that I've done and read in my research, is that Dell is looking a lot at new kinds of technologies and sort of taking the technology and becoming, for example, wirelessness in terms of powering up. No longer are tablets going to be needing, or laptops are going to be needing cords. And also you have this interesting display, camera display behind the screen. So you're looking a lot at the user experience. What do we as consumers really want to do? What do we want to do? How do we want to do it? How do we want to feel when we're doing that? So can you tell us a little bit about what Dell is looking at and how that user experience is affecting product development and service development for Dell going forward?
Well, Dell has an innovation strategy, and actually the key tenet of it is called great devices. And part of great devices, there's 6 areas, and I'm not going to enumerate them all, but let's talk about the ones you just hit. There's one of them called front of screen. So it's a beautiful, high contrast, gorgeous colors. We're now even introducing 4K. We have an OLED panel, a 30-inch OLED monitor that just got released, won the awards that, knocked people out. at CES, I think there was a quote, and it literally said, and it was a media quote, "Sell your kidneys, you need to go buy this monitor," right? I laughed because I thought it was so funny. But the work on that screen took 30 or about 32 months of innovation with the vendor to get it so it could have the zero borders and have the refresh rates and everything, because it was an OLED, so it was really one of the first OLED monitors on the market. The other thing that was quietly announced in the back room, another tenet of our great devices, is freedom of wires. Freedom from wires. And so when we look at freedom from wires, what we've worked with Intel, who's one of our partners at this show. We work with Intel and a third-party startup called Witricity, and we've actually developed a very, very unique, very high efficiency, like green levels of efficiency, to wirelessly charge a laptop. Not a phone, a laptop. And even better, you can kind of set it just about anywhere, and it's not so, like if you've done phone charging, It has to be exact or it won't charge. Yeah. Even better, it's based on a technology that allows you quite a bit of freedom of placement, so it's much easier for the user to have. And I think that's the theme. What delights a user, right? What are the things that we can do? And then how do we work with our vendors to innovate along that? Because we don't just pick parts off a shelf. We work about 36 months ahead in a pipeline and actually have things made to our specification. I mean, we're really one of the largest computer and electronics companies in the world, and so there's a lot of things that we can do that are just very exciting.
So when you're looking for those partners to bring on board and work with, what do you look for? How do you sort of assess whether or not there's just that right bit of innovation in that technology? They're like, you know what, come on, we're going to work together and we're going to find a product that's going to be right for the rest of our clients, customers.
Well, there's two things. If it's something brand new, we can work with a smaller company and help them achieve scale. And there's new technologies that come in all the time. We just mentioned wireless charging. There's some things in sensors around IoT that are just coming online. We can work with smaller players. But when it comes to the main line of things that we do, we work with manufacturers that have scale and the ability to meet the kind of demand we have, and then the flexibility that comes from them. So really it's, do you have the kind of engagement with us where it's engineer to engineer and not just, hey, we sell this, pick it off the shelf and off we go. It's really that commitment to engineering, throughput throughout the system, and engineer-to-engineer discussions, specification, it really makes it happen. I know it sounds a little technical, but in reality, you can't come up with all these magical devices without doing a lot of work in the background.
Right. And so what market trends, I would think that it's also market trends that are driving a lot of what you're paying attention to. So what are the market trends that you're seeing out there that are also sort of helping you assess which technologies to move forward on?
Well, if you look at what the market trends are, people want things portable. So one of the things that we have to work on, of course, is battery life while you really work. It's one thing to say I've got battery life and I'm barely doing anything. So battery life, how you optimize for power, that's one part of it. The devices need to be light, thin, but strong. So there's a materials component. I mean, we use carbon fiber in some of the devices that you'd see just over your shoulder. Like if you look at the Latitude 13, the 7000 series, it's got this beautiful carbon fiber body, and that makes it probably about 20% less weight than what it used to be. So those are the kind of things that you put together. You actually have to kind of work at it. It's a series of ingredients you put together to make something that's very compelling. It's not just one thing.
Right. So now it's day 2, actually, of the Mobile World Congress. And you've had the show, you've seen it on the show floor, you've talked to some people. What do you think you're going to take from this conference and bring back to you at Dell? What are you seeing that's just absolutely fantastic?
Well, there's a couple of areas. I think the first one really is all the work on network function virtualization. That has been a huge buzz here at the show. It's a huge part of the Dell story here at the show. And it's really finally taking off. It's something that people were beginning to work at and talking about, but now you're really seeing the momentum to where people are really beginning to execute it and start to really change their networks. And a lot of this deals with both hosting yourself and hosting in the cloud. So virtualization is also having a big cloud component. The second thing really deals with, it is a mobile conference, so it really deals with where wireless is going, and there's I kind of mentioned IoT, but really machine to machine, which is instrumentation out in the field for wireless, it has really made some big strides, both in 4G LTE and then the discussions in 5G. I think earlier today I saw a vendor tell me he had a module under $20 for a cellular LTE connect to any IoT device in the field. I mean, 2 years ago, that would have been $120. So I mean, talk about a price break, and then I talked to some of the carriers, and they've even found ways that activating that service, provisioning it, is nothing more than inserting a SIM. And all the other things you used to have to do probably would take you a half an hour, done. So think of the efficiency of all that. I'm going to go put things in the field, I'm going to turn them on, and bang, we instantly have them networked. That is a very large change from the last couple of years.
And the impact that that's going to then have on different kinds of opportunities, new businesses, new kinds of products and services, it's going to be this continuous circular motion.
It is. It's a self-feedback circle of improvement, right? So you're spot on.
Okay, wonderful. Paul, thank you so much for joining us here today.
Oh, well, thank you very much. I really appreciate your time.
Absolutely. And thank you for joining us here at Mobile World Congress and the TIA Now studio. You can find all the videos that we've been capturing here on the conference floor at tianow.org, and also follow us on Twitter at TIA_now. And we'll look forward to seeing you next time. Thank you.